All right, I'm out here for part 2 of testing of the Liperior endurance battery. I was out here yesterday and this kept hitting the low voltage cutoff in the Traxxas Bandit here with extremely tall gearing, only hitting about 60 miles an hour. Whereas my tried and true basic Liperior yellow pack here, it's only rated at 50C, gets this car usually up to about 75 miles an hour. So that was the first time I had charged this pack here, but it's rated 150C, so I was really expecting a lot from it. That combined with it being listed as a higher capacity battery. No, I'm not going to go into all the detail I did in the last video. I'm going to try to keep this one a little shorter, but please check out that other video if you're interested in this battery or the testing I did. I tested it against 2 other 2S batteries. One was also a Gens Ace drag pack, a high-end pack. Anyway, today I'm gonna go ahead and run it again. It's the second time I've charged this battery, see if it's woken up at all. I don't really expect a big difference, but I want to give this battery a fair shake, and we'll see if it performs any better today or if it still really underperforms in a high amp situation here, like my Traxxas Bandit. This car is capable of nearly 100 miles an hour on 3S. Then I'm going to go ahead and run it in my Arrma Big Rock. Now the problem with this Big Rock is I destroyed the input shaft again earlier today. It's the third one. It's freaking making me crazy. Part of the blame's on me this time because the diff was slightly damaged and I had to replace both the diff and the input shaft. At any rate, this is kind of running on front wheel drive right now, but I'm hoping to do a speed run in this after this car. Won't be nearly the high amp draw, but we still might see a speed difference with these 2 batteries. So enough talking, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the testing and we'll see what happens. All right, so first up, I'm gonna run my tried and true Liperior 2S 5,000 mAh LiPo. Again, this thing usually hit about 77 miles an hour. With the pack pre-warm today, it's not pre-warm, so maybe we'll see 75 or 6. Only hit 74 yesterday. That may have been due to the fact that I was running a larger wing that was kind of messing the car up. So I'm back to a combination that I know will work well, or at least it should. Let me go ahead and get this buttoned up and we'll see what it does today. $75 miles an hour, 75.6 on a LiPo that was not pre-warmed. So there we go. Solid run there. Next up, I'll put the endurance battery in here. If it's not up in the mid 70s, it's definitely underperforming. But let's see how it performs. Now I seem to have misplaced the strap to hold the battery in place, but we'll go ahead and wing it. And I have the fan here cooling down this XTeam motor. I think it's probably cool enough for another run. Go ahead and zero out the GPS and get another run in. Liperior Endurance Series 2S LiPo. This car probably draws somewhere around 150 amps. Is it too much for this battery pack? Yes, it is. I have the throttle all the way down. It completely cut out. And right before I hit the brakes, it allowed me to increase. It was increasing speed again, but the speed run was way over at that point. Sounds like we got some motorcycles coming this way. 62.9. So yeah, we definitely hit the low voltage shutoff again. This pack just cannot handle a high amp draw. So yeah, this battery would probably work just fine in a crawler or something that doesn't demand high amps. The capacity, I did some testing on it, and I think it's going to be really close to 6,500 milliamp hours. It held about 5,100 milliamp hours from 3.7 volts per cell up to 4.2 volts per cell, which is about 80% of its claimed capacity in that range, which that's better than any of the lower performance batteries I've tested in the past. However, all the really high performance batteries I've tested usually hold about 87 to 88% of the total voltage in that range. So I don't know what to make of this. You know, it's rated at 150 C, but based on my testing, it's nowhere near that. And this Liperior 50C battery, which has always exceeded my expectations, and it actually performs as well as 130C Gen Ace drag pack, but this one just crushes this new Liperior Endurance Series battery. So interesting findings. All right, I'm gonna try to do some runs in the Arrma Big Rock now. All right, here we go with the Arrma Big Rock. First off is the Liperior 2S 5,000 mAh 50C LiPo. Now this truck will probably only go low 30s, maybe mid 30s, but we'll see. We might still see a speed difference, even though it doesn't really draw a whole lot of amps. But let's see what happens. All right, here we go. Front wheel drive. Oh, I don't know if I can control it. Really struggling here, but we should be able to get up to top speed. Just ease into it. There we go. Definitely hitting top speed. Let's see how fast that was. Man, this thing is a handful when it's front wheel drive. 32.1 mile an hour. Let me go ahead and do one more run just to see if we're consistent. No cars. And 31.5, so that makes sense. It should be a little slower as it runs. Not sure why I pulled that off of there. So, will we see 32 miles an hour? I'd be happy with 31 mile an hour. Again, this is not drawing nearly the amps that the Traxxas Bandit is with its excessively tall gearing. But it might be still enough to see a speed difference. These pins are so hard to get in here. And that's it. We are full throttle all the way down. About the same distance as the last run. 32.3 miles an hour. So in this truck, they're performing nearly identically. So that just goes to show you, this battery can be a solid performer most likely, as long as the vehicle you're running it in is not drawing ridiculous amounts of amps. Like I said, that Bandit is geared to the moon, and it's probably pulling about 150 amps. Now I don't know how much this is pulling, but a fraction of that for sure. Let's see if this is about 31 or if it's still holding 32. I was hoping to run it in some tall grass to make the amp draw higher, but in front wheel drive, it won't even move in grass. 31.1, so dead even. Well, there you go. This just goes to show you that a high performance battery is going to drastically outperform a lower performing battery under a high load situation. But if you're running them in a lower amp draw situation, there may not be that big of a difference between a strong performing battery and we'll say an average performing battery. I'm not sure why this one's listed as 150C. As those of you that watch my channel know, and you probably knew before you even saw my videos, but most C ratings are just completely made up and are greatly embellished. I've tested 35C batteries that blow the doors off of 100C batteries. And today, even within one manufacturer's line of batteries, you have a 50C battery blowing the doors off a 150C battery. And this one has a larger mAh rating, so the capacity is greater here, and when you multiply the C rating by the amp, so 6.5 times 150, I'm not a mathematician, but that's a big number, probably approaching 1,000 amps is what this battery should be able to provide, and it can't even handle about 150 amps. This one here, 5 amps, 5,000 milliamp hours times 50C, that would be what, about 250 amps, and you know, even 50C, that's a little embellished, but battery manufacturers do this so that because they're all doing it, and if they don't fabricate their C ratings, when somebody's shopping for batteries, they might say, oh, well, this one's much lower, it's not going to perform as well, but that's not necessarily the case, which this shows right here. And again, that Gens Ace drag pack that I was running yesterday, that is listed as 130C. Again, this 50C battery here performs at least as well, if not slightly better, despite it having lower capacity and a much lower C rating. So there we go. I'm not done testing this battery, and I have a 3S version of an endurance Liperior battery I'm going to test as well, but it does not appear this is going to be a good battery for speed runs. Now again, this battery may work great for a vintage setup, a brush setup, a mild brushless setup, or a crawler, but definitely not speed run material. All right, well, that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for watching, take care, and please subscribe.